Former CIA Director John Brennan testifying right now behind closed doors about the now infamous letter he signed downplaying the Hunter Biden laptop story, calling it Russian disinformation. That man in the hot seat right now. A House Republican report says the CIA pushed other former intelligence community members to sign on to that letter and then fast-tracked it to give then-candidate Joe Biden political cover. Democrats clapped back on those claims, calling them unexamined allegations on an incomplete record and another blatant attempt to mislead the American people. Congressman Jim Jordan does not agree.
It sure looks like you got someone from the CIA actively recruiting people to sign the letter. He wanted Joe Biden to have something to use in that final debate with President Trump because he knew President Trump was going to bring up the laptop story. That's not fair to we the people, the voters of this country, because that letter was used to suppress the story that the country didn't get to fully appreciate.
Well, just yesterday, the House Oversight Committee laid out its newest findings and said when Biden was vice president under Obama, at least 9 of his family members got millions of dollars from foreign nationals, and that there appeared to be an effort to cover it all up. The New York Post, with a scathing cover, "It pays to be a Biden." And the Wall Street Journal editorial board writing, "The report shows the Biden family profiting from Joe Biden's political power. There may not be a smoking gun, but there's plenty of suspicious smoke worth investigating." James Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, great to have you in focus. First of all, the big question today is, when will we see evidence that links Joe Biden to all of what you found?
Well, I think what we laid out yesterday was a complex web of shell companies that the Biden family used to disguise payments from foreign nationals, from adversarial countries all over the world, that would eventually end up in the Biden back pockets. The reason they did this is to try to protect people in the Biden family. Obviously, the payments shouldn't have been received. They probably weren't paying any taxes on it. And they knew that Joe Biden would get in a lot of trouble. So what these companies also served was to pay for basic living expenses for Biden family members. Now, we haven't gotten the credit card statements yet or things like that from these LLCs. Our informants tell us that some of these LLCs were paying for things for Joe Biden, for basic living expenses, and we intend to look at that. But one reason we wanted to have the press conference was to update the American people, to show that Joe Biden did lie about his family receiving money from China. 9 family members actually received money from adversaries around the world, and that this did happen while Joe Biden was vice president. So I think those were 3 big things that we saw yesterday. And obviously, this money was coming as a result of the big guy, of Joe Biden. We're just in the beginning stages of this investigation. We're going to continue to press forward.
A couple of things. One, you said yesterday, look, I'm not going to present any evidence or show anything unless I know it is solid and gets us someplace. And I think the American people will appreciate that, because nobody needs to have more blowhorn and you know, just words at this point.
Exactly.
But when you say receiving money from China, if you don't declare that you're receiving money from a foreign nation like that, especially if you're vice president, is that okay?
No, it's not okay. And it's not okay for the president of the United States to stand before the people and just blatantly lie and say that his family never received money from China. That's a lie. He said that during the presidential debate. At the same time, the intelligence community got his back and dispelled the laptop, which, by the way, Harris, we wouldn't know about any of this were it not for the information contained in the laptop.
100%.
The laptop showed 100%. The laptop showed that there was influence peddling taking place. That's how we began our investigation. We met with the people that were named in the laptop. We got the names of the banks. I subpoenaed the banks. I have bank records. We presented those to the American people. That's called evidence. None of this would have ever happened if we had just listened to Joe Biden, took him at his word, and took the mainstream media at their word. So we're doing the job that a lot of the mainstream media used to do. You know, Watergate, none of that was uncovered. I know you all are doing a great job on Fox, but Watergate wasn't uncovered by a congressional committee. It wasn't Howard Baker that uncovered Watergate. It was the Washington Post. It was investigative journalism.
That's right.
I'm getting attacked by the Washington Post for having the audacity to have a press conference to answer questions and present facts.
And Chairman, quite honestly, we're in that culture of do it for the clicks on Twitter and do it for this, do it for that. So you didn't even see across the board a cleansing of we were wrong about that laptop, CBS and a few others, but you didn't get that mea culpa. We were absolutely wrong. It was not Russian disinformation. Some of it was buried in networks and newspaper pages. But you didn't get that full-throated acknowledgement of just how wrong or even possibly complicit they might have been. And last night, after your 90-minute news conference, taking every question, right? After all of that, not one single major network covered that. But you're right. Here we will cover it. One last thing for you. When do you get to the point where the American people can expect the Department of Justice to at least pay attention to something like this? Would you argue that if this were about someone, a conservative president, they might have jumped on it already?
I think the American people know that some wrongdoing is occurring in the White House. I think that's one reason Joe Biden's poll numbers are so low. And I think CNN got a lesson last night when they had a crowd of regular people. They realized that what they think and how they view the world and the issues they think are important isn't what the working class taxpaying Americans think. And I'll tell you what the working class taxpaying Americans think about this influence peddling. They think, why does the Biden family get away with committing crimes? And you're talking about money laundering, you're talking about potential racketeering, you're talking about bribery, and they do that, and it's okay. And their grandkids can get wires from foreign nationals, but they have to work and pay their taxes. So I think the American people want us to do our job. They're watching what we're doing, and they appreciate that we're trying to get the facts, and the DOJ needs to do their job.
Chairman Comer, thank you so much. That list you gave was all felonies as far as I could see. So we'll see what happens next. Thank you very much for being in focus.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.